Welcome to the Martial Arts of Sales. I hope everyone's having a great day. I'm with my boy, Nico Holmes. He's been doing the camera work for me. He's been taking great pictures, and I appreciate him doing that. There's nobody out here today, but we're out here doing work. I'm going to show you my other office location in a few seconds. But this is part 3 of a 7-part series on how to build a strong sales foundation so that you can become a dynamic and world-class salesman. So part 3 of a 7-part series is engagement. How to engage your prospect in the cold call sales process. Before we get into the topic, let's go to the introduction. Welcome to the Martial Arts of Sales, part 3 of a 7-part series on how to build a strong sales foundation so that I could see you become not only a dynamic salesperson, but a world-class salesperson. Before we get into the topic, you know what to do. Hit the subscription below. And second to that, welcome to my world. Check out my office, guys. This is my other location. Just because people aren't working, that doesn't mean I'm not working. I'm here to put the best content together to help you grow your business, especially after this crisis. Now, let's dig into this. Part 3 is what I call engagement. It's my favorite part. Why? Because you and I both know whether social media, face-to-face, direct messaging or cold calling, engagement is the most important part, right? That's the beginning. What you do after that, it's going to be on you, but I'm here to help you. So part 3 is how to engage the prospect in the cold call sales process. Now there's 8 steps to this. If you do all 8 steps, you're going to watch your sales volume increase. Now, number 1, you must absolutely be prepared on the initial call, the initial contact. What do I mean by that? In my case, I make a lot of phone calls. I do a lot of cold calls. I know 2 things when I call these prospects. 1, they're pissed off. Number 2 is they don't want to waste their time. So what I do is I address that right away. I say, Mr. Customer, do you get a lot of these phone calls? 9 out of 10 says yes. My instant response when they answer is, I understand and respect that. And I'll be brief and to the point. What you're doing is you're diffusing that you understand they get these phone calls and you're respecting their time and that you want to earn their business. So always be prepared when you do the initial contact, because remember, we all have a perceived value from the very beginning, right? Does that make sense? Number 2, and I got my cheat sheet notes here, guys, okay? So number 2 is you must listen and understand what's about to come from the customer and from you. What I mean by that is you have to be able to understand their objections, their concerns. You have to understand whether they're frustrated about something. And in order to do that, you have to listen more than you speak. The time you speak is when they address their concerns, their frustrations, and then you respond accordingly. So it's very important that you listen and understand what's about to come. It's like, when you're training for a boxing match, you know what your opponent's gonna do. You have to be able to counter that, right? Or if it's tennis, so no matter what it is, you have to be prepared. Number 3 is what I call emotions. There's 4 types of emotions that every buyer, including you and me, go through in the sales process. The number 1 thing is they have to be excited that you're excited for them. Without excitement, you cannot sell. Think about that, guys. When you go watch a movie, You see a trailer, you get excited about watching that movie in the theater, right? When you listen to music, you get excited about the beat or the words or whatever the case may be. The first thing that takes place is the excitement. That's an emotion. The second emotion is they have to be enthusiastic. You have to show enthusiasm, whether it's via direct message, text message, email. For me, 95% of my business is over the phone, but I do the other stuff as well. Does that make sense? So you gotta be excited and enthusiastic. Also, I really hate using this word, but it's the reality that I live in. You gotta hit the greed button. How do you hit the greed button? You gotta show that you have a solution to their problem and they're gonna make more money. Because people are in business to make money. The only problem with that is some people do it the wrong way to make money. Does that make sense? So greed is a part of the sales process. And then number 4 is logic. You got to justify all those emotions through logic, because logic balances the emotion. Does that make sense? So that's number 3. Number 4 is storytelling, what I call statement questions. What I mean by statement questions and the storytelling is taking all the facts, all the figures, all the objections, all the rebuttal, and putting them what I call rhythm and tempo, the ums, the ahs, the ahs. It's like a movie. You got the opening, you got the story in the middle, and then you got the climax, which is the end. For me, it's the opening, the body, and the close. So in the storytelling, you better be able to create facts and tell it in a story format. How do you use statement questions? Does that make sense? Are you with me? Can I ask you a question? How many employees do you have? Things like that is you making statement questions, or what I call tie-down questions, which is number 5. Number 5 is tie-down questions. In other words, when you want to build the tent, let's say you're going camping and you want to build the tent, right? Or what you got to do, you got to put it down to the ground, and that is tied down to the ground so that any wind or anything that happens doesn't blow the tent away, right? Well, tied down questions is the same thing. You got to get the customer to agree with your solutions to their problem by asking them questions. Does that make sense? Number 6 is what I call discovery questions. Right after the initial call, when you're going through the body, you got to qualify them. What do you mean by discovery questions? You ask them how long they've been in business. How many employees do they have? Do they have any other social media? What's their annual revenue? What would they like to see in their business? Do they need more sales? Or how's their salespeople? Things like that. You got to discover who they are, what they are, and what their problems are, so that you could be more valuable and provide better solutions. You should do that before you call them. But when you get into conversation, you go a little more deeper because you've earned their respect. Does that make sense? Number 7, very important that you use path of least resistance question. What is that for those of you who don't know? Let's say I ask a customer, what's your annual revenue? 20 million? Because I'm limiting them to that one answer. They won't answer it most of the time. So to get an answer, what I would do is I would say, what's your annual revenue? Is it 5 million, 10 million, 50 million, 20 million, 5 million, 6 million, 7 million? What is, they're going to always pick the lowest number. That's called the path of least resistance. But what you need and want is the answer, right? That's what the path of least resistance is. That'll help you in the closing process. So it's very important that you do that. Number 8 is what I call value close or value questions. There's 2 parts to it. Number 1 is this. The first thing I ask a customer is, Mr. Customer, I don't know about you, but Paul Cruz, I pay for value. One thing I don't want to do, Mr. Customer, is I don't want to be lied to, right? He goes, yes. Or she goes, yes. Wouldn't you pay for value if you saw it? They say yes. I just boxed them in. I just got them to commit to buying Paul Cruz and my services that's going to help their business. Think about that. The other value questions or close, part 2 is, at the end of the call, what I always do to tie it up is I say 3 questions. Do you like the idea that I presented? Does the idea that I presented to you make sense to you? And do you see the value? Do you understand the solutions that I have for your business? If you do it right and you've earned the other steps, 9 out of 10 times people are going to say yes to those 3 questions. That's called value close, or what I call box close. Because at that point, the deal is done. Does that make sense, guys? I know there's a lot to take into this. I hope this has been helpful. I want to thank all of you that are subscribing to my YouTube channel, that are following me, that are sharing it, that are commenting. I really appreciate each and every one of you. For those of you who are seeing me and watching me for the first time, hit the subscribe button below. If you like the video, give me thumbs up. Do share your comment. And if you think it can help other people, share the video with others. Till we speak again, I say goodbye. Welcome to my world again. My name is Paul Cruz with the Martial Arts of Sales. Have a great day. Bye for now.